Kylo Ren wanted to be Darth Vader so badly that he forgot who Vader actually was. He didn't understand the tragedy. He only saw the power. The mask, the voice, the myth, all symbols of control that he mistook for confidence. But behind all that metal and menace was a broken man chained to regret. And Kylo, in trying to become him, made the same mistake all over again. From the moment he picked up a lightsaber, Ben Solo wasn't chasing evil. He was chasing validation. He didn't want to destroy the galaxy. He wanted to prove he mattered in it. Every tantrum, every explosion, every desperate swing of his saber wasn't the dark side. It was insecurity in high definition. Kylo Ren isn't terrifying because he's powerful. He's terrifying because he's real. He's what happens when admiration turns into obsession, when legacy becomes identity, and when fear of failure becomes your personality. He doesn't crave domination. He craves belonging. He's the dark side's most relatable villain because he's not evil. He's emotional, a fanboy of darkness who doesn't realize his hero's story ended in redemption, not conquest. He's less Sith Lord, more force-powered burnout with a helmet collection and a bad temper. And yet buried beneath all that chaos is something deeply human. The guilt, the confusion, the loneliness. All of it makes Kylo Ren less of a monster and more of a mirror. Because who hasn't tried to become someone they admired, only to lose themselves in the process? In this video we'll explore why Kylo Ren was never truly evil, how his obsession made him Star Wars' most relatable villain, and why beneath the mask he was just a fanboy with too many issues and not enough therapy. Kylo Ren isn't a Sith Lord, he's a cosplayer with anger management issues. He's the dark side's version of a theatre kid who never got over his idol phase. Every choice he makes, from the voice modulation to the mask obsession, is less about power and more about performance. He's not trying to become the next Vader, he's trying to become the idea of Vader. And that's what makes him both tragic and hilarious. From the moment we meet him in The Force Awakens, he's already living in a fantasy. He's got the lightsaber, the black outfit, the dramatic pauses, but none of the composure. Vader was cool because he didn't need validation. Kylo, meanwhile, has a meltdown every time someone mentions his family. He's not channeling the dark side, he's having a really bad day with a laser sword. The irony is that Kylo's obsession with Vader completely misses the point. Vader wasn't powerful because he was angry, he was powerful because he was disciplined. Vader was a master of control, while Kylo is a slave to emotion. The very thing that made Anakin tragic, his inability to balance love and rage, is exactly what defines Ben Solo. It's the Skywalker curse playing out like bad theatre. His relationship with the mask says everything about his insecurity. Vader wore his because he had to. Kylo wears his because he wants to. It's a fashion statement, not a necessity. He hides behind it because without the mask, he's just Ben Solo. Awkward, conflicted, and painfully human. Every time he smashes it, it's like he's trying to destroy the part of himself that remembers who he really is. Even his fights feel like tantrums, not duels. He swings wildly, screams at his enemies, and bleeds through his own wounds. It's messy, chaotic, and deeply human. When Rey beats him at the end of The Force Awakens, it's not just because she's strong, it's because he's too emotionally fragile to focus. He's not a master of the dark side, he's a student who keeps failing his final exam. What makes Kylo compelling is that his villainy isn't about evil. It's about confusion. He doesn't understand the Force, the dark side, or even himself. He's like someone who read The Tragedy of Darth Vader and thought it was a motivational story. He's not a fallen hero, he's a lost kid trying to make sense of a legacy that was never meant to be glorified. Snoke saw that insecurity and weaponized it. He didn't recruit a dark warrior, he recruited a fan. A walking embodiment of misplaced worship and unresolved trauma. Kylo didn't need training, he needed therapy. But in a galaxy where self-reflection is rarer than kyber crystals, therapy just means screaming at your dead grandfather's helmet. Every time Kylo reaches for greatness, he ends up falling into parody. He wants to be feared, but he's too emotional to be intimidating. He wants to destroy the past, but he can't stop worshipping it. That's not villainy, that's irony with a cape. Kylo Ren isn't evil because he doesn't know how to be. He's not darkness incarnate. He's what happens when someone mistakes pain for purpose. And the Force, as usual, lets him learn the hard way. Ben Solo's story isn't about becoming Vader, it's about being crushed by the idea of him. Imagine being the child of Leia Organa and Han Solo, with Luke Skywalker as your uncle. That's not a family tree, it's a pressure cooker. Every generation of Star Wars heroes carries a burden, but Kylo's was unique. He inherited mythology instead of mentorship. Growing up, he wasn't just Ben Solo, he was the next Skywalker. The galaxy expected greatness before he ever had a chance to be good. And when you mix that kind of pressure with the emotional instability of a Skywalker, you don't get balance. You get explosions. His fall wasn't destiny. It was exhaustion. His relationship with Luke is one of the saddest dynamics in the saga. Luke saw the darkness growing in Ben, and instead of guiding him through it, he hesitated. That hesitation, Luke's brief moment of fear, became the spark that lit Ben's entire collapse. It's not evil, it's disappointment turned inward. A kid realizing that even legends can fail him. That's what makes Kylo so relatable. His anger isn't about domination, it's about rejection. He lashes out because the people who were supposed to understand him didn't. Snoke filled that void, pretending to offer purpose while really feeding on his insecurity. He didn't create Kylo Ren, he just gave Ben Solo permission to hate himself more efficiently. Kylo's version of the dark side isn't philosophical, it's emotional. He doesn't seek power because he craves control. He seeks it because he's terrified of vulnerability. That's why he kills Han. It's not a calculated Sith move. It's an impulsive attempt to cut away the part of himself that still feels love. And the tragedy is, it doesn't work. The guilt consumes him anyway. His greatest moments of strength are always tied to identity, not ideology. When he kills Snoke, it feels like rebellion, but it's really confusion. He isn't choosing freedom, he's switching masks. He spends the rest of The Last Jedi trying to convince himself that destruction equals independence. That's not power, it's panic disguised as purpose. The brilliance of Kylo's arc is that it exposes the toxicity of legacy. The entire galaxy is obsessed with what came before, and Kylo's just the most extreme version of that sickness. He's the physical embodiment of nostalgia gone wrong, a man so desperate to live up to the past that he forgets to live in the present. Even his connection with Rey reflects that same void. He doesn't want to destroy her, he wants her to understand him. Their bond isn't romantic in the traditional sense, it's existential. Two people on opposite sides of the Force who are equally confused about who they are. They're not enemies, they're mirrors. By the end of it all, you realise that Kylo Ren wasn't corrupted by evil, he was consumed by expectations. The dark side didn't tempt him with power, it tempted him with belonging. And for a boy who grew up in the shadow of legends, that was the one thing he could never resist. Kylo Ren's redemption works because it's messy. It's not a grand act of heroism or a speech about destiny. It's quiet, awkward, and deeply human. He doesn't save the galaxy because he's chosen by prophecy. He does it because he's finally exhausted by his own anger. That's what makes it believable. He doesn't stop being lost. He just stops running from it. When Leia reaches out to him in The Rise of Skywalker, it's not about forgiveness, it's about connection. She doesn't need to save him, she just needs to remind him that he's still her son. That single moment of empathy is what cuts deeper than any lightsaber. For all his rage and rebellion, Ben Solo never stopped wanting someone to see him as more than Kylo Ren. The Han Solo memory scene drives that home. It's poetic symmetry. The man he killed becomes the conscience that brings him back. Han's not really there. It's Ben talking to the part of himself that still remembers love. The I know exchange isn't fan service. It's emotional closure. The boy finally accepts that he doesn't need to be Vader to be worthy of forgiveness. When Ben throws away his lightsaber, it's not rejection of the dark side, it's surrender to self-awareness. For the first time, he stops pretending to be powerful and starts accepting that he's broken. That's where his strength finally comes from. Even in the final act, his transformation isn't perfect. He doesn't become a Jedi again, he doesn't get a triumphant return. He just does one good thing. Saving Rey isn't about romance, it's about restitution. a silent apology to every person he failed, including himself. And when he dies, it's not punishment, it's peace. What makes his story beautiful is that he never really becomes anything. He's not a Jedi, not a Sith, not a hero or villain. He's just Ben. And in a galaxy obsessed with labels, that's revolutionary. He's proof that identity isn't something you inherit. It's something you build. Kylo's entire arc is a critique of what Star Wars has always romanticized, the idea of destiny. He shows that destiny isn't a prophecy. It's a choice, made every day between guilt and growth. That's why his redemption feels earned. It's not cosmic fate. It's emotional honesty. Even his final smile before fading away feels different from any other death in the saga. There's no orchestra, no prophecy fulfilled, no galaxy watching. Just peace. The first moment in his entire life where he isn't performing for anyone. Kylo Ren was never truly evil because he never stopped being human. He wasn't darkness. He was insecurity amplified by the Force. The mask, the voice, the rage. It was all a performance to hide the fact that he was just a boy who wanted to matter. And in the end, the only way he found meaning was by finally removing the costume.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.